All right, awesome. We're back with the
Hey
famous
yo!
Matt Vander Boegh. Woo! So, so
Yes.
Matt and me, we bumped into each other. One at a convention in LA, and we're like, we knew who each other was from friends and friends, and from friends
Uh-huh.
and friends and stuff. So we're like, hey man, let's write some stuff. And I think another year went by, and then so
Oh, I think we said that for like 2 or 3 years running. Like, yeah, let's write some stuff together. Oh yeah, that'd be awesome. And then we'd see each other the next year. Oh yeah, hey.
let's write. And we finally end up saying, do you remember who's, I can't remember. We just were like, all right, here's the deadline. And we both love working by deadlines. So we're like, hey, let's just do it for, I think one of our publishers that we're both members of, and we just were like, let's give him an album or something, wasn't it?
I don't even remember
Yeah.
how we finally started or who approached who or what the impetus was.
Uh-huh.
But one of us was just like, enough talk. Let's
Yeah, that's let's do it. So it's probably both mutual. We're both like, all right, yep, we've got to make it happen. Well, we've been talking,
Yep.
so let's do it. So anyway, it just got placed like I think it was last week. One of the songs that we did, we finally got together, and well, actually we didn't get together. We did a co-write. You're in Boise, Idaho.
Yeah, just outside of Boise, Idaho.
And I was in LA, so it's kind of like, so yeah. Anyway, we did an online thing, and so what the co-write that we actually did together was, I believe you sent me the beds because we've done there's so many different ways to do co-writes. You
Mm-hmm.
sent me a bed, didn't you? Like a pretty dry, didn't have many bells and whistles.
Yeah.
And then I put a top line to it, and you put all the bells and whistles, chopped things up, and then sent it back, and I did some extras. Wasn't it something like that?
Yeah, and that's usually the way I do co-writes is I'll come up with a music bed that's like probably 80 to 85% of the way complete, and then I'll send that off to a vocalist, and that way they've got a kind of an ear for like the energy of the piece of music and everything, and then they'll do their vocals, send them back to me, and then I'll load those vocals in, get them mixed in the session, and then I will change my arrangement and change the music and kind of work it around what the vocalist did. So if the singer did something really cool that I think needed to be accented musically or rhythmically, then I'll change the music to fit what they did.
Or if they
That
did
way,
something bad, you just mute it. So that's why I always
then
had
I'll just chop it out. Yeah, well, I got this great button called delete.
delete, cut that one out.
Yeah. So, but no, that's usually the way I work. I'll send out a piece of music, and this is the way we did. I think we did most of our things this way, but we did it a couple different ways. But I think for the piece of music that just got placed, I came up with the thing, sent it to you. You sent back the vocals. I got the production probably to about 99% after that, and then I think for this one, I sent it back to you, and you and your wife, I think, did some group stuff. Or maybe
That might have been another track because I don't think
that
there's any groups on this one.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that was a different track then. Okay.
That might have been another track. Yeah, because one of the tracks, or a couple, maybe it might have been two. Yeah, we broke the trend, and I sent you like a pad or something, like an ambient thing.
Yeah.
Or maybe just a simple beat that's like, it was just boring, but sent it to you. Then you kind of tagged off from that, and deleted everything I sent and sent me back a.
Yeah, and that was we did probably 3 or 4 songs of the 18 that way, where you would send me just like you'd send me just a very basic kick and snare type beat, drum beat, and then you had a synth thing that was doing something. Usually just the chord progression.
Yeah.
With like a wah, 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 wah.
Yeah,
like, some little effect on it.
Yeah.
But then you also had your vocals kind of temped in, and so I'd get that, and then I'd start like I'd flesh out those drums even more, and then I'd see what you did with the synth, and then I'd change the synth, but kind of keep in the same spirit and use your chord progression and stuff, and that was a really cool way to work too. And that's backwards from the way I usually do co-writes.
Right.
But very cool because you're getting a whole different sound. because you're starting it instead of me starting it. So you got a different brain at the starting line.
Yep.
Which is a great way to build some really cool variety. Because if the same guy starts everything, then you get the same sound.
Same, yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think that's what we were thinking. I thought we were like, okay, we're going to do 10 of these. There, sometimes it's when you're going to do 10, it's you got to reinvent, because you don't in such a short time. All your sounds are the same right then, It's like, so
you're working off the same template every.
That's right.
So that's it's just two different ways to approach the same thing, but it leads to massively different results.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And equally good results. So I wouldn't say one is better than the other. Absolutely. But it's a great way to keep your sound fresh.
Yep, that's so true. That's so true. So so we just got it placed on Siesta Key. Is that right?
Yeah, Siesta Key.
MTV. So I've never seen the show. Have you? I'm guessing you probably haven't even watched the placement either, or?
Yeah, no. I actually cop to this one. I've never even seen or heard of the show until we got the placement in it.
Yeah.
So
I don't know. It's like that, It's like I keep telling people, and it's a truth that but because so many people are talking about like, oh, I can't wait till I get my placement, or I got a placement, and it's like for you and me, this is our industry. If we don't get a placement every day, or because I'm sure you're getting them every day. Because if you don't get them every day, you're not paying the bills. You're starving. So you're dying. And so it's lots of these ones are in the background. Some are up front, some are really loud. But it's diversification, and it's like it's really cool. And so I haven't. You can't go back and have a listen to every placement. It's impossible because you've got. How big? You've probably got like what, a couple thousand in your catalog, or 2,500 or something. You got
I think it's somewhere approaching 4,000.
Gosh, well,
yeah.
You can't go back and find. You just don't have.
No. There's no way. I could never track this stuff, and even if I could track it, I could never watch that much TV to hear the stuff.
I know.
Like once it becomes a full-time job, these placements stop being a novelty, an exciting novelty, and they just become a necessity for living.
Yep, absolutely. Yep, that's a good way to say it, for living, and so I'm guessing from other placements that I've seen and had, that I bet you this song that we did, which we'll play in a minute, I bet you it was in a club, or maybe I think the show's got to do with beaches and stuff, so they're probably at a beach club or something, and there has to be music in the background. And, so I would probably bet that this is where that placement is. I don't know. It'd be nice. I don't know. Nice at the end or a montage with the whole 3 minute. Or I think it's 2:20. I think is it 2:30?
Is that how long the placement was?
No. How long is the track?
Oh, the song? Let me tell you exactly. Let's see here. 3 minutes and 8 seconds.
Oh, 3:08. That's right.
Well, we were long-winded on this one.
We can make 3 songs out of this one.
What were we thinking?
What were we thinking? Well, actually, why don't you go ahead and play it? Maybe up to the end of the first chorus tag or something.
Yeah.
So
okay.
everyone can kind of hear it.
And tell me if I need to turn it up at all.
All right. I'm feeling something, really something you don't gotta see.
Oops. Sorry, dude. I just minimized the window and it went away. Hang on just a second.
So you're gonna mute it already?
What is this garbage? Let's not play that. Let's play him something really good.
With a better singer or something.
Shoot, and I just forgot what was the name of that. Oh, here it is. Here it is. I Got You Now.
I Got You Now. I'm feeling something, really something you don't gotta say. You don't gotta say it.
I'm feeling heartache, breaking heartache. See, it's in your eyes. It's in your eyes. Baby, you can count. I'm here for you now. Slow down your heart. You can lean on, you can lean on me. I got you now. I got you now. You can lean on, you can lean on me. I got you now. I got you now.
You can break it up.
Yeah.
Yeah, very nice, man. Well, your production again, man. Love it. What do you think now that the first time you've listened to it in 2 years?
Yeah. Like, hey, that's a pretty good song.
I know.
I can see why they used it.
Yeah, exactly.
I hope so I've got a problem with one of my right monitor. It's finally going out on me after using it for 9 years now. And when I crank it up loud, the subs, like the low stuff, just really distorts. I don't know if that came through on the.
No, it's not that when you're on the streaming thing, it's still not like it's hard. I just want to get people kind of like, oh, okay, it's more of a popish kind of thing, EDM.
Yeah. So all that stuff was pretty poppy, but as I listened to it again, I'm like, yeah, that's cool.
That's good. Yeah,
that's good music.
So do you remember, I know it's a little while ago, but did you remember did it jog your memory on any of your, when you were working on this track, you're like, I got to change this, I don't like that, or is there anything you remember?
No, I don't. So I remember this is about the time where future bass music was really kind of coming on.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And that's when we recorded. And that's when we recorded all this stuff. But I remember listening to all that future bass music that was coming out, and I'm like, how are these guys doing this stuff? Like, this is crazy. It was way over my head. So I was trying to figure it out and implement some of those strategies into the stuff we were doing, and never really got it to the level of the pros. And maybe that's a good thing, because it doesn't sound like future bass music.
Yeah, exactly.
Because that music is kind of, like you said, it's whoop, kind of like dubstep. It was woo and then
drop. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But a lot of those elements that those guys used are still in play today.
Yeah.
So like I learned how to do some of the things that I'm still putting into my productions nowadays without actually making quote unquote future bass music. So I just remember that that being on my mind when we were making these songs.
Yeah, right. And I remember one of the things I remember about we did like 10 like we did an album and we called it Pop Patrol.
Yeah.
I don't even know if it's it might be out there if someone Googles it, they might be able to see it. But so we created this band name, and then we did an album. But then I think we really liked the process, and that's why we did another 8 more, because I think we were like, okay, well, we're assigning these exclusively to one publisher. And so that means, for anyone who doesn't know, that means we can't really pitch it ourselves anyway. Or we can pitch it, but it's more exclusive for them. So most of the time we'll just let them work it, and we just kind of forget about the track. But then we wanted to do some that were ours, that were non-exclusive, that we could pitch to different places and kind of get them working ourselves. And so this was one of those ones where we sent it one publisher who's non-exclusive, and 2 years later, it pops up there and gets a placement. And as you were saying, listening back to it, it's like, it's, you're further enough away from it, you can really judge it and say like, well, that's bad, or that's not bad. I can see why they placed it. And I agree, it's a decent track and it sounds good. And nothing's jumping up at me that's like, it's wrong or anything. And then like, there's more stuff jumping in it. Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. Whoa.
I did that.
And I'm like, how did I do that?
Yeah, sure. I don't remember doing that, but yeah, yeah, it's really cool. So yeah, it's just so yeah. How do you deal with do you have much I know it's a little sidestep, but do you have much, what's your ratio on exclusive and non-exclusive tracks and
it is so heavily towards exclusive, and I don't know what the percentage would be. If I had to guess, it's probably like 80% exclusive, 20% non-exclusive. And for a while, I was really making a conscious effort to do more non-exclusive because I wanted more companies out there working the stuff. Yeah. And I was like, if you got one piece of music and if you can have that one piece of music being pitched by 5 different entities.
Yep.
That's just, it's like making 5 pieces of music in one.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So I really made a focus to do more non-exclusive, but then as it turned out, a lot of the non-exclusive companies I was writing for started to focus more on exclusive stuff, and the non-exclusives kind of dried up, and not totally. There's still some great non-exclusive companies out there, but a lot of them that used to offer an either or option have now said, we're not doing non-exclusive anymore.
Yeah.
So back to exclusive, which I don't know. I don't know if it's better or worse. It just is what it is.
Yeah, it is what it is. I'm in the same boat too, where it's like, I don't know what my, I don't even know what my odds are or my ratio is. But yeah, it comes in seasons, and people like an exclusive library who's doing stuff and they're getting credits and they're getting placements and they say, hey, we want an album, so okay, well, let's do that,
Yeah.
And then sometimes in between those, it's like, okay, well, I want to keep myself working. So, I'll, I'll write some non-exclusive for a certain thing. And that's what we actually should do that too. We're going to write a few more non-exclusive for the same publisher, like this track,
Yeah.
But, and that's another thing too. At the time, this was really current pop. And how do you kind of approach that, knowing that by the time if we finished a track today that is today's pop, it still has to get into a catalog, it still has to get pitched, and then some catalogs or some publishers that we know of take 3 or 4 months for them to for it to be accepted in the catalog. Right. Then it has to be pitched and everything. How do you treat the current like learning all these current techniques and tricks and sounds, and then you're like, oh gosh, it's going to be 8 months before anyone hears it.
Yeah, it's the ultimate catch-22 is you try to stay on top of the trends, but you have to realize that in this industry, by the time your current music is actually out in the world, it's a year in the past. So what I try to do is I try to avoid all the flash in the pan stuff, like the stuff that comes on hot from out of nowhere. Like dubstep is a great example of that. It just, like, it had been around for a long time, but all of a sudden Skrillex comes out and it just blows up. And anytime I see a trend hitting the masses from an out of nowhere type of thing, then warning bells go off for me. 'Cause it's like, okay, this is cool now. Everybody loves it now, but it's probably going to be one of those here today, gone tomorrow fads. Because it's not based on a lot of stuff that came before it. It was so new,
right? Yeah.
That it didn't have the timeless qualities of this other stuff. And a similar thing has kind of happened to that future-based type of music, although a lot of the production elements have translated into kind of a future pop.
Yeah.
But future pop is more firmly ingrained in historical pop sensibilities. And so I think that'll last longer than the future bass, which is kind of a more EDM focused. Well, not EDM. I don't know. It was its own thing.
Yeah.
So I try to wait out the trends that seem to me to just be fad stuff.
I really like how you said that. It's like a flash in the pan. You know, when you see those bright lights or the big flash, it's like, okay, hang on, maybe don't use that element.
Yeah.
That's what's going to be. I like that, man. I think that's really cool.
Yeah, which is kind of a shame too, because like when it comes to dubstep, I love that.
Oh, really?
it really speaks to me because it's so out of like it's like it is my personality in music. It's just it is so loud and out. Loud and crazy. Like I would love to be able to sit down and spend 3 months just doing a deep dive in dubstep music so I can learn how to do it, but
yeah,
it's pointless. Where's the money in that?
Yeah.
There is money in that if you are one of the guys who's already doing it, but for guys like me and you to sacrifice what we're already doing to learn something new, we're costing ourselves income.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So
Unless you want to treat, it's like, and then it's like a hobby. It's like, okay, well, cool. You know, let's play with these sounds for the next 2 hours. You know, and it's
ain't nobody got time for that.
I know. Well, the thing is too, when you're stuck in front of the screen and you're writing music, then it's then what do you want to do on your time off? You know, it's probably something else away from a screen. You know, it's right.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, that's cool, man. Well, that's cool. I just wanted to have a chat, and looks like we got company.
Are
you gonna say hi?
She's making a rare appearance. She's rocking the side ponytail today too. Look at this. This is what happens when you get Dad doing your hair.
There you go. Well, awesome, man. Well, let's leave it at that. And for anyone who's just watched this video, if you want to find out a little bit more about Matt, we have a part 1. And that's a great interview to watch, and we definitely got to do some more interviews, man. We got to do some more stuff, like, and get into some more because you can go so deep. You've been doing it now for, is it 10 years? 9?
I'm in my 9th year.
9th year.
So yeah.
So you've learned a ton, and you've got so much wisdom to share. You know, so we definitely have to do another interview.
I'm ready when you are, man. You just tell me. Like I said, we're on lockdown for 3 weeks around here, so what else am I going to be doing?
I know. All right, man. We'll catch you next time.
Cool, dude. Yeah, thanks for having me, Steve.